Joe, obviously you played for Newcastle United first before you made your move down to London, and you was managed by the great Jack Charlton. How was that?
Well, Jack was an amazing man because he's a World Cup winner. He's from Northumberland, Ashington, and he's obviously his brother, Sir Bobby Charlton. They both won the World Cup, so he's in history of folklore back here in the northeast. But then Jack, after giving me my debut, my first professional contract, he gave it to both me and Paul Gascoigne at the time, and we were 17-year-old, and I always remember going in for the contract, and Jack says, "All right, you're getting £120 a week." I went, "Right, okay." He says, "You're getting £100 appearance and £100 a goal." I went, "That's not too shabby." But in close season, you're going to get £60. And I went, "Okay." And then Gazza went in, and he did exactly the same. And then when Gazza come out, he says, "What you got?" "It's the same as you." He says, "But I'm on £80 a week on close season." Yeah. So I knocked on the gaffer's door, Mr. Jack Charlton. I said, "How come he's on 80 and I'm on 60? He says, "He's a better player than you." I says, "Not in close season, he's not." So I knocked on the door and I got made up. Yeah. But Jack is a legend, and obviously I made my first team debut with him, and I played for England, and obviously number 9 shirt, so he's a very special man.
So what was Jack's managerial style like? Was he kind of an arm around the shoulder type of guy, or was he hard on you? What was he like?
Yeah, Jack was his way or no way, and a fantastic guru, if you like. I remember scoring a penalty kick once in an FA Youth Cup game against Coventry the year that we won it, and he give us a rollicking. See what I did there? He gives us a rollicking because he said, "You should have." I scored. He said, "You should have done it my way." I says, "What is your way, gaffer?" He says, "You run up to the spot, shut your eyes, kick it, and if you don't know where it's going, how does the goalkeeper?" That was his mentality.
It's not a bad tactic.
But he's a fantastic man.
And you mentioned Gazza. I'm sure you got so many stories to reel off of him. I mean, how much of a special player was he? I mean, I know you mentioned in the dinner earlier that he was the greatest player in the 90s. Do you still stand by that statement?
Paul was the best player in the world in 1990 in Italia, the World Cup. I'll go to my grave saying that. People turn around and say, "He wasn't, this one was, that one was." Trust me, Paul Gascoigne was the best player at the 1990 Italia World Cup, and the tears and what have you just shows you how much of a passionate person he is. He's obviously going through an illness now, but at the end of the day, I can totally put on the players that would turn around and back me up on it. The fact that at that time he was playing against the Hullets, the Matthiases, he's playing against the best in the world, and he was so close to getting England into that final, which he knew he wasn't going to play in because he got booked in the semi-final, but he ran the show, and it was a fantastic team. And the nicest thing for me is that I think there was about 7 or 8 Geordies, northeast lads, that were in the squad, and best part of them played, from the Chris Waddles, the Peter Beardsleys, the Trevor Stevens, Brian Robson, Paul Gascoigne. I mean, wow, Terry Fennick, fantastic. And I'm biased, but I'm biased on Gascoigne.
And obviously when he scored that goal in Euro 96 against Scotland, that fantastic goal, is that the type of stuff that he's capable of, and the world didn't get to see on a regular basis?
I think that brought him back onto the world stage because there's only one player in the world could ever score that goal, and it was Paul. and it was at Wembley, and I remember Colin Hendry dipping in, but the genius of him to flick it over and score him, and then the antics afterwards, it just buried the ghost. But like I say, still to this day, he's a world-class person, he's a world-class star, and he's gone through an illness, so maybe the papers should probably keep off him for a little bit. That would be a nice thing, because I don't buy them papers anymore. It's rubbish.
And let's get back to you now, Joe. I mean, obviously after Newcastle, you made your trip down south to Chelsea and Brentford. How was the transition from Newcastle to London, like living?
Well, I did play for Swansea in between, and then obviously Hartlepool. The fact is that going down to London, I had some very, very good friends in Vinnie Jones and Dennis Wise, and I went into a dressing room that had 17 international footballers. I wasn't overawed because I'd played Kevin Keegan, Terry McDermott, Peter Beardsley, Chris Waddle, Paul Gascoigne every day, like in training, even though we didn't play in the first team together. And I couldn't get overawed. I got overawed once when I saw Madonna on This Is Your Life. That was quite, it wasn't my This Is Your Life, it was Vinnie Jones's, but I got wrong off Michael Aspel. But the other thing was the guys there, they were fantastic, and London's a brilliant place, but we're northeast lads, and we always love to come home.
And what was the subtle differences between, you know, living in London compared to Newcastle? Because I'm the opposite. I've come from London up to Newcastle. I love this place. What was the transition like?
Let me ask you, what do you think that the transition's like? Obviously, it's a lot more cheaper in the northeast, but at the end of the day, there's lovely people in London, and there's lovely people up here, which I would have said before. I could have said that Vinnie Jones could have been a Geordie, because he had a heart of gold, and I would like a fantastic person. But we always come home. We're Geordies. We're coming home, Newcastle. We are, and that's what we do, because it's that thing that we have with our families, especially my mother. I wouldn't think about spending money to get flights home after games, because I wanted to see my mother and have that full English on a Sunday morning after being on the night before, and then going back to training on the Monday. And it's called the death flight, but there you go. I was on first day terms with the air hostesses. Unfortunately, half of them were all blokes, but I was single.
And you was a striker in your time, Joe. What do you make of the current strike force at Newcastle United? You've got the likes of Dwight Gale, Alexander Mitrovic and Murphy and Perez. What do you think of those four in general?
Mitro definitely needs a couple of goals to get his confidence. He's got to really adapt, I think, and Rafa is trying to tell him, because Rafa is arguably up there with Kevin Keegan, Sir Bobby Robson, and his ambience that he has at the football club. But Dwight, I think he'll get 25 goals this season. I think he's a top-class striker, even in the Premier League. But he'll get 25 goals because he's a natural-born finisher. Maybe Mitro just has to tone it down a little bit. And hopefully, I've watched every game this season with Newcastle United. If Murphy gets fit, I think he could be the difference between the link-up play between the midfield and the forward line, because Dwight does need somebody up top to take a little bit of the weight off him. And as I say, I think you get 25 goals. Murphy, I really like. Mitro, just channel your energies. You need to channel those energies. You need to get there. You're no good to us if you're getting suspended 6 games a season, what have you. And I really think he's raw, but I really think he's very, very good.
And your thoughts on Perez as well?
Perez is fantastic. I mean, I watched a game against Cheltenham. We played in the League Cup. He played up front on his own. I was fortunate enough to speak to Rafa, and he just went, "We have nobody up front." Sorry, I said that. We have nobody up front, and he said, anybody can score on the pitch at any time. It doesn't need forwards. And it was proven right that night. And that's how much of a manager he is. To have that mindset was unbelievable. Perez, he works his socks off. He does everything for the team. Maybe he's just going to be part of a fantastic side that gets promotion.
And what's your thoughts on this season? Can we do it? Can we go up automatically, or do we need to go through the dreaded playoffs and all of that type of palaver?
Well, there's never a promotion given out in October. Up to now, we're doing very, very well. I don't think we're firing on all cylinders yet. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of scope, and in Rafa we trust, but they're doing fantastic. I mean, when you're winning games away from home, people think it's a landslide. You're going to beat Rotherham away because they're bottom of the league. Football doesn't work like that. When you're getting a point away from home and you win your home games, you're going to be up there right in the mix at the end, and we'll be in the top 3 for a long, long time this season. And let's hope we go boom, because everyone in this league, this championship, which, don't get me wrong, this is the hardest league to get out of. When we get up there and we hit the front, it's everybody's cup final. Everyone that we play, it's everyone's cup final. And the travelling support and the Magpies and the atmosphere at home as well is absolutely exhilarating. It's fantastic. And I'm proud to be there at the stage of Newcastle United's getting up there again. And we will be there.
Is Rafa the missing link? I mean, I've been going through my head for the longest time now. Why haven't we got there? I mean, since the entertainers era, you know, been in the top 2, been in the top 5. Yes, we had that season where Forde was in charge and got top 5. But is he the missing link now to get us, you know, into the Premier League and then be a force to be reckoned with?
I just know for one fact that being in his company, he just exudes class. Like what I've said before, and the same as KK and Sir Bob. And like his forefront, I think, is to win every game. Now, he'll do the chop, the change, he'll do the rotation, but he wants to win every match, and he'll do it Rafa's way. The Rafalution is back on.